The Last Showgirl is one of those movies that is hard for me to review. Not because I'm mixed on it or anything, but because it's one of those movies where I don't want to know anything about regarding production, distribution, or any factual things I typically look into before I review a movie. I want to forever view it as a visual diary entry. I think that this is one of those movies that is going to divide people on how they feel about it, not because of any typical film criticism people throw at movies, but because it's a movie with no ending. The film just stops. But I mean that in the most complimentary way. Does anyone remember the movie Broken Flowers starring Bill Murray? If yes, then you'll know what I mean when I say that The Last Showgirl ends the same way Broken Flowers does. And I will add that Broken Flowers is one of my favorite films from the 2000s, so I'm sure you can guess where I land on this movie. I guess I should talk about this on a critical level for a minute. So I'll start with the negatives because I think I'm going to recommend this movie. We follow a Las Vegas showgirl named Shelley, played by Pamela Anderson. She learns that the show she has performed in for the last 30 years is closing in 2 weeks' time, and she must now figure out what to do next. If you're looking for in-depth relationships with other characters, then this is not the movie for you. This is a one-person character story. There are other people in the story, yes. She has two co-workers slash friend dancers, played by Brenda Song and Kiernan Shipka. She also has a friend who is a casino waitress, played by Jamie Lee Curtis. The show she performs for is run by a guy played by Bautista. The relationships she has with all of these people do have weight and plenty of backstory, but it's the kind of backstory you create in your mind. All you are given is crumbs about the history these people have with each other. The only thing resembling a heart and soul relationship in this movie is the one that Pamela Anderson has with her daughter, who is played by Billie Lourd. The acting is all great. Before I rave about Pamela Anderson, I'll say that it was great seeing Kiernan Shipka in such a well-acted movie after seeing her play the boilerplate villain in the dumpster fire known as Red One. I knew she had a great performance in her. Unfortunately, there's a powerful scene between her and Pamela Anderson, where her character is scared about the show closing and she seemingly can't go home either because her mom won't return her calls. That scene had me hooked and wanting to know what happens to her character, but it's never followed up on again, so that kind of disappointed me until I saw the point of this picture. Every performance in this movie is great, except for maybe Bautista, but I think that's because his character is one note. He always acts like he's on Ambient or something, but maybe that's because I'm used to only seeing him beating up people in an action movie like he did in his last film, The Killer's Game. If you're looking for a strong amount of pathos and consequence, the relationship between mother and daughter is the only relationship you can latch onto, but even that one expects you to use your imagination to fill in the backstory. This is where I think this could divide people, because we see real characters here who are all facing true human problems, but none of it has a linear beginning, middle, and end. There is no first act, second act, or third act structure here. We're just following a group of people walking through their lives like we are just passerbys. That is the only criticism I have with this movie on a critical level, is that I wanted to know how everyone's relationship with each other would pan out. But after the credits began to roll with a Life Goes On ending, I sat there for a minute and realized that this was the whole point. The way the film is shot like it is a constant handheld camera and seems to have been shot on film makes you realize that this movie is a mockumentary of sorts. It has that dirty look that makes it seem like it was filmed in the 80s or 90s, which is when Pamela Anderson would have been in her prime, or her alleged prime, I should say. But once the cameras stop rolling, their lives don't stop, their struggles don't end, and their woes will continue. It's a drifting kind of film, so this movie will cater to a very specific group of people and turn off others because of its lack of structure. But that's precisely why I fall in the former and not the latter. One of the biggest reasons I love this movie so much is because it feels like it's an autobiography of Pamela Anderson, who not only gives the best performance I have ever seen from her, but a performance that is right up there with Mikey Madison and Honora and Cynthia Erivo in Wicked. But the thing is, I don't know how much of this is a performance. I am utterly convinced that the person who wrote this screenplay followed Pamela Anderson her whole career and wrote a biopic about her. Look, I am a huge fan of the movie Barbed Wire, which was Anderson's first feature film, but I know it's trash. Even the staunchest defenders of that movie know what it is and why it's there. This is not a career resurgence for Pamela Anderson. This is a star-making performance for her. I never knew she had this kind of performance in her, and that makes me feel terrible. We all thought of her as the Baywatch girl with the model figure and killer body, but once she left the zeitgeist of popularity, we all discarded her, both the fans and Hollywood as a whole. The Last Showgirl shows me that there was talent there all along, and none of us saw it. We couldn't get past the objectification and see the kind of fire that was in her soul all along. So I want to not only praise Pamela Anderson in this review, but also apologize to her for disregarding her as a talent. I don't know what the Oscars are up to, but this woman deserves a nomination for Best Actress, as well as an apology from Hollywood. as well as giving her as many roles as she wants in the future. Please keep going with this. Sorry if this review isn't as evaluative as it should be, but the movie just touched a place in my heart that few films do. Broken Flowers is one, as I mentioned earlier. There are just those movies that come around once in a while and just touch your soul. This isn't necessarily a movie in a traditional sense. It's just us following someone through life. Someone I know is flawed, is hurt, has hurt people, and has made mistakes. But the thing she always wanted was to be seen. That's why she loves performing this sleazy play so much, and why she feels it's the only thing she truly has, because she is being seen. We all want to be seen, but what happens if we lose the platform people see us on? I view The Last Showgirl as a great companion piece to the movie The Substance. Both are about aging women being chewed up by the system and being told they're now too old for the only thing in the world they dedicated their life to. Both are existential crisis movies, but while The Substance displays it in a beautifully gruesome way, The Last Showgirl is all eternal. You need to be in this woman's mind to fully appreciate the wonderful art on display here. I implore you to see this movie, but go in it with a drifting mindset because it is a drifting kind of story. It meanders, but that's the point. Its story is one that relies on giving you a feeling more than an answer. If you like films that are about that feeling you get in your soul, then you will like this. I wanted more, yes, but that adds to its beauty. Life always leaves you wanting more, but you're not always going to get it. I don't know what else to say about The Last Showgirl. I could go beat for beat on the plot, but that's the thing. There really isn't much of a plot aside from an aging woman who was always a showgirl dancer, knows nothing but that, and can't figure out how to put the pieces together enough for her to move on because she knows nothing else, which caused her to never have fully formed relationships or achieve much of anything in her life because the show must always go on. With love and apology to Pamela Anderson and her great film, I give The Last Showgirl 4 stars out of 4. This movie blew me away, but I know it won't be for everyone, so for what will likely be a general consensus, go ahead and take off a star if you want, but I loved this movie and I will stand by my rating. Okay, so what did everyone think of The Last Showgirl? Please let me know in the comments. Sorry if I wasn't evaluative enough in this review, but this is one of those movies where it touched my soul, and those are feelings that are hard to verbalize. Anyway, if you like this, please like and subscribe. Here's links to some of my other videos. Follow me on social media if you like, and until next time, I am Ghost.